Prince Harry at number 3. All right, we got 2 and 1 left. Who's gonna be number 2? Diddy made it at number 2. Wow, who's number 1? Who's number 1? She's not caring about what people thinks. Oh, yeah, right. God, I can't even. These two, Meghan and Harry, are the worst.
Do you think your sister, Meghan Markle, has ruined Prince Harry?
The answer is yes.
He's duplicitous, self-centered, vile, disloyal, hypocrite.
She is an absolute user of the media. She uses every conceivable way to try and play the victim and score points.
He is more than twice the most disliked celebrity in the world. More than twice the level of dislike than P. Diddy.
You just can't keep faking it. It's too hard.
Higher, bitch!
Opposite. I mean, that's just another one of the malarkey stories she sold to the royal family for sympathy.
It seems like that lady is a temptress. She's a siren. She's lured him into the rocks.
You can't really see what is happening as a family unit. This photo represents the state of this couple's marriage and their life in general.
Nobody expected this twist. Not the critics, not the royal commentators, and not even the people who had been quietly skeptical of her for years. Yet somehow, in 2025, out of every celebrity in the spotlight, actors, singers, influencers, reality stars, and even people wrapped up in serious legal headlines, the name that suddenly dominated the most disliked conversation was Meghan Markle. And it wasn't even close. Her name didn't just appear on the list, it towered over it, higher than Diddy. Higher than Amber Heard, higher than the Kardashians, even higher than figures dealing with actual courtroom drama. That alone made people stop and wonder what was really happening.
Hypocrisy is beyond anything I've ever seen.
In the tape, she's performing a sex act on him that's unbelievable.
She wants all of the privileges that go along with an identity, but she doesn't want any of the responsibility. She doesn't want to do any of the work. She wants the tiara. She doesn't want the public.
This wasn't about one rough headline or a single awkward interview. It felt like a constant cycle. Every few weeks there was another rollout, another polished photo shoot, another carefully staged speech, another message about empowerment, and almost every time, the internet reacted the opposite way. Even people inside the industry were reportedly whispering that the situation was starting to feel uncomfortable. Not explosive or chaotic, more like a slow public unraveling that people couldn't stop watching. The tone shifted fast. Supporters who once defended her sounded tired. Casual observers who never cared before suddenly had opinions. And longtime critics? They felt like their doubts were playing out in real time. This wasn't typical tabloid chatter. It felt bigger than that. Throughout 2025, there were several attempts to reshape the narrative, but instead of rebuilding trust, each move seemed to spark new questions. Every rebrand push, every polished appearance, every moment designed to look authentic somehow triggered fresh backlash. And the response wasn't just criticism. People began checking out emotionally. Applause turned into eye rolls. Admiration turned into memes.
It's Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. She ranked above the likes of Bill Cosby and Sean Diddy Combs. I think this was the kind of list that Meghan was hoping she was going to make in her new rebrand, relaunch.
Or a Duchess of the UK, and you can't even get a deal with people that are investing in businesses. With a title, you can't get that. It's hopeless.
The internet didn't explode in anger. It reacted with exhaustion. By mid-year, the conversation had shifted away from growth and focused heavily on credibility. The Kardashian crossover moment raised eyebrows. The Harper's Bazaar situation fueled debate. Online discussions about the pregnancy timeline started spreading across forums. Then came that interview, the one where viewers started replaying clips and analyzing every word. What was supposed to be a glamorous reset suddenly looked more like a lesson in how quickly public patience can fade. Small moments piled up. Minor inconsistencies turned into viral threads. Soon the internet was flooded with screenshots, commentary, and side-by-side comparisons, all pointing back to the same person.
Is the cringiest, most uncomfortable piece of tape I've seen in a long time.
You might want to try the combo Andrew, Island, and Epstein.
And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need.
Let's finally show that if you're a brand, it's toxic to invest. I mean, no brand is going to invest at the moment.
2 months, 3 months, hit the baby mama when I step into the cell.
She's
Yeah, I'm pregnant,
supposedly 9 months pregnant in the hospital room, dancing with a big belly. Harry's there too. She's kind of twerking. She's gonna twerk.
If she a baby mama, she gon' do that baby mama.
Here comes Harry.
She gon' put it on you. She gon' do that baby mama. Drop it, drop.
She spreads her legs. She hikes her dress. She circles her genitals. And for her to need to make it into an ego trip, which she's clearly doing. Look at me dancing. I'm still fun and I'm sexy. And I have this great marriage. And here's Harry being like a normal guy is disrespectful, I think, to the moment, to the child, and truly to like the sanctity of what goes on for any humans who are actually in that situation. She's drunk on her own ego.
The bigger the public rollout, the louder the pushback became. What began as a planned comeback slowly shifted into one of the most talked about image spirals of the year. Then the interview with Jamie dropped, and that's when the conversation really intensified. The interview was supposed to be calm and straightforward, but it opened an entirely new wave of skepticism. While watching it, some viewers felt certain details sounded different than before. Timelines seemed unclear. Stories didn't line up exactly the way people remembered. And once that kind of curiosity starts online, the internet quickly switches into investigation mode. Old clips were pulled up and placed next to the new ones. Dates, ages, locations, and small comments were compared. And to many viewers, the differences stood out. It wasn't treated like a small slip. For some people watching, it felt like parts of the past were being quietly rewritten right in front of them. That's when the chatter really picked up. Right as the conversation was heating up, another clip started circulating. The pregnancy video. It was clearly meant to feel heartfelt. Meghan dancing, spinning, holding her stomach like a joyful celebration of motherhood. But instead of feeling intimate or emotional, a lot of viewers said it looked overly produced, almost like a staged scene rather than a personal memory. I remember thinking, why does this feel more like a campaign than a real moment? And plenty of people online echoed that same feeling. Even some supporters who usually defend her weren't criticizing the message. They were questioning the presentation. To them, the video looked so polished that the authenticity seemed to disappear.
Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma.
Wait, it's going to be a massive bomb.
Woman looks to me like a malignant narcissist. This woman has zero self-awareness.
Why a lot of these celebrities that start these things, they can't keep up. You know, like the Meghan Markle.
You're the same.
You're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Terrible. Like, guys, you don't got to do this. Please, I'm begging you to stop.
Isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
Now make yourself cry. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy.
I knew her a bit before she met Harry. She was nothing like that. She didn't speak like that. Her mannerisms weren't like that. This is all fake.
Comfortable. I don't think, because she's done this before for photos, I don't think that is a real baby bump. I think
way too big. It's way too big.
And sort of too low as well.
Yeah, it's like a meter out there. I mean, it looks the wrong shape.
Where's she going to give birth there? Through her knees or something? I mean, that is too...
The goal may have been warmth, but the internet reaction leaned more toward awkward secondhand embarrassment. Around the same time, her major Netflix project, the one many people expected to be her big creative breakthrough, quietly struggled to gain traction. This was supposed to be the moment she carved out a strong place in Hollywood on her own terms. Instead, viewers didn't seem to connect with it. Critics described it as safe, while audiences said it felt overly curated. Some viewers even said it lacked real spark. It didn't dominate headlines or start major cultural conversations. It simply drifted. And for a project that carried so much expectation, that silence felt incredibly loud.
It was a sex tape about her.
And I saw.
She's so full of shit. Voice is driving me crazy, and I'm about to jump over there and put my fists down your throat.
She is doing a cooking show on Netflix. I only watched 5 seconds of it, and I thought she was going to cut her wrist by trying to zest a lemon. This girl has never been in the kitchen in her life.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim when there's nothing to be a victim about, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
Then came the Kardashian moment, and this one was subtle but fascinating. Meghan showed up at Kris Jenner's party and posed for photos alongside Kim, Khloe, and Kris. On the surface, it looked like a normal celebrity crossover moment, the kind that boosts visibility for everyone involved. But the next morning, those photos were gone. Not edited, not rearranged, just gone from the main feeds. And that quiet disappearance spoke volumes. No explanation, no clarification, just digital silence. Naturally, speculation exploded. People started asking questions. Did something awkward happen behind the scenes? Was there tension nobody saw, or was it simply a branding decision? Nobody had clear answers, and when there's no explanation, theories start multiplying fast. What really caught people's attention wasn't just the deletion, it was the complete erasure, like the moment never existed. Then came the Harper's Bazaar cover, which was meant to signal a major reset, a cinematic return, a polished reintroduction of Meghan Markle. But when the photos finally appeared, the reaction online wasn't admiration, it was confusion. The styling looked dramatic, the lighting felt heavy, and the expressions seemed distant. Instead of empowerment, many viewers said the images felt cold. Almost instantly, comparisons to Princess Diana began spreading online, not as respectful tributes, but as debates that made some viewers uncomfortable. By that point, it didn't feel like one isolated moment anymore. It felt like momentum building. Each attempt to reshape the narrative seemed to trigger another wave of questions. Suddenly, 2025 wasn't looking like a comeback story at all. It was starting to resemble a public perception crisis unfolding in real time.
I just can't stand her. I just think she's such a phone.
Nasty, and says he feels sorry for Prince Harry because his wife is a lot to deal with.
And the wife convinces you to leave the royal family. Like, I'm out. I don't need you guys. Which is crazy, because don't you just get free
I
money?
love your Luke.
Sorry, what's that?
Your Luke. You look amazing. Your Luke.
My Luke. My
look. Look. She likes my
Kris Jenner's post on Instagram immediately after the party. I think there are the maximum of 20 pictures in this slideshow. She made the mix, not one glimpse of the royal couple. Because the reality is that in Hollywood, they're not royalty anymore. They're on the D list. So they may get the invite, but they're not on the Snoop Dogg or Oprah Winfrey.
Then the comparisons got even louder. Some critics began throwing around the phrase Diana cosplay, arguing she seemed more eager to embrace royal symbolism outside the palace than she ever did inside it. That phrase spread quickly online, and the Harper's Bazaar article didn't calm things down either. The dramatic tone, the glowing praise, even the moment where the butler formally addressed her as the Duchess of Sussex. All of it added to the sense that something about the presentation just wasn't landing the way it was intended. To many observers, it started to look like Meghan was trying to balance two completely different worlds at once. On one side was the royal identity she stepped away from. On the other was the Hollywood identity she seemed eager to fully claim. Instead of blending naturally, the two images began to feel like they were pulling in opposite directions, almost like neither world was fully connecting.
Apparently, Meghan Markle is now on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. Okay, she's on the cover of Harper's Bazaar.
Meghan Markle sold her soul to the devil to get a cover, not on Vogue, which is the one that she wanted, but on Harper's Bazaar. Oh, bizarre.
I don't know how any woman could see a young girl and not see herself in her, especially at that age, Meghan tells me later. Once again, Meghan Markle makes everything about her.
It's America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our fucking prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion.
Just when it seemed like the noise might finally calm down, an older topic resurfaced, the yacht controversy. Not because of new proof or fresh developments, but because when public opinion shifts, people tend to revisit the past. And when someone becomes a highly polarizing figure online, the internet starts digging through the archives quickly. Old interviews began circulating again. Photos from years ago were reposted. Long-standing rumors were suddenly back in discussion. Fair or not, once public trust starts to wobble, the past rarely stays buried. It comes back with renewed attention. That's exactly what happened here. People online began searching for patterns, connecting dots, and questioning consistency, whether those conclusions were accurate or exaggerated. The conversation started growing on its own. Her business ventures didn't escape the spotlight either. The lifestyle brand that was supposed to showcase her entrepreneurial side ran into criticism almost right away.
Kim Kardashian deleted her photo with Meghan Markle. Kim K still has that X tape out online. But Meghan Markle was the lot of celebrity PR. Silence and omission can be just as calculated as a post, and the silence from Kris Jenner speaks volumes.
She is beaming. She is beaming like this is the biggest moment of her life.
A bizarre article because it was bizarre, and honestly, Meghan Markle is just, let me think about it. Delulu with the capital D.
Some customers posted videos claiming they received damaged products. Others questioned the branding style. There were even online discussions about trademarks, with people pointing out similarities to historical European imagery. None of those debates were officially resolved in public, but the conversations alone created another layer of skepticism. One thing I kept seeing repeated online was this: people felt the image looked too polished, too carefully curated, almost like a perfectly staged Montecito lifestyle that didn't feel relatable to everyday viewers. Authenticity quickly became the main word people debated, and when an audience starts questioning whether something feels genuine, that's a difficult position for any public figure to manage. By the end of the year, the situation didn't feel like a few random controversies anymore. It felt like a pattern forming. There weren't explosive scandals or shocking revelation, just accumulation. Small moments stacking up, and the public reaction slowly shifting. People weren't responding with outrage anymore. Many simply seemed uninterested, and that kind of quiet disengagement can be even more damaging than loud criticism.
Past, set to be exposed in a new documentary that's finally going to air next month. Let's put it this way, I smell a scared.
Harry's digging an even bigger hole for himself here.
Well, I think he's dug so deep now, he'll strike water any day now.
Are so déclassé and tacky, these two.
Sussex? I have no idea. And no, Meghan, no one knew that. Like, why are you correcting?
Now here's where the story becomes more layered. Prince Harry didn't rise to the top of most disliked discussions the way Meghan did. He didn't have viral clips being analyzed frame by frame. He didn't have disappearing party photos or magazine covers turning into meme debates. His shift in public perception happened much more quietly. And in some ways, it was more complex. There was a time when many people genuinely rooted for him. He was seen as the relatable prince, the rebellious royal who wanted something different from tradition. He appeared open, humorous, and emotionally honest, and that version of him connected with a lot of people. But over time, that image seemed to blur. Not overnight, and not dramatically, just gradually. With every joint interview, shared project, and coordinated appearance, his individual presence began to fade in the public eye. Instead of looking like someone leading his own path, he sometimes appeared more in the background, supportive, present, but quieter. And when Meghan faced backlash, some of that pressure naturally reflected onto him too. When timelines were questioned, critics wondered why he didn't step in to clarify. When new projects launched, people saw him standing beside her and interpreted that as full agreement. Whether that interpretation was fair or not, public perception online can move quickly. Then there was the privacy debate. Years earlier, strong statements had been made about wanting distance from constant media attention. Later came documentaries, book deals, podcasts, and high-profile interviews. For some viewers, that contrast felt confusing.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
You know, Meghan's podcast has fallen off the charts. She's been criticized for the content. There are rumors that her As Ever launch wasn't as successful as she considered it. Critically, With Love, Meghan was not a success.
Zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. That is a title that was stripped from her when she and Harry made their whole racism debacle and left the UK, left their royal duties, and moved to the US to bug all of us. She's using it in private with her friends. That's even weirder than if they were still trying to milk the titles in public. That is just like all the confirmation that I need that this woman is just obsessed with being a royal, that is all this was all about. That she's angry that she screwed the pooch by claiming racism and basically getting kicked out of the family. She just can't give up the HRH titles that quickly. Like, this is literally what she has always wanted.
They wondered if the boundaries had changed or if the messaging had. I saw a lot of commentary where people said the signals felt mixed, not necessarily anger, just uncertainty. And when audiences start feeling unsure about consistency, they often step back. By late 2025, Harry wasn't being blamed for everything, but he was clearly tied to the overall narrative. Not because of one dramatic mistake or explosive headline, simply because he stood beside Meghan through every project, every defense, and every wave of media attention. And sometimes standing beside someone means sharing the weight, whether you plan to or not. Small moments kept stacking up, and by 2025, many people felt Harry had slowly faded into the background. Not erased, just overshadowed. The criticism wasn't really about his personality. Instead, people questioned the role he seemed to be playing. Some viewers even described it as leaving one very structured royal system, only to appear caught inside a different kind of spotlight machine. What really surprised people was this: 2025 was packed with celebrities facing serious legal drama, public meltdowns, and headlines that sounded like courtroom transcripts. Logically, you might expect Meghan wouldn't come anywhere near the top of a most disliked conversation. Plenty of other figures had far bigger controversies attached to their names, and yet somehow, she still ranked higher in public frustration than several figures dealing with investigations, lawsuits, or career-threatening scandals. That's what left many people scratching their heads. How does someone without arrests, trials, or police involvement end up drawing more backlash than celebrities whose reputations truly crashed? That's where the discussion became more complex, because 2025 wasn't exactly a calm year for Hollywood. Dramatic headlines were everywhere. Some stories were tragic, others were chaotic or hard to believe, but many of those scandals felt predictable. People weren't shocked when certain celebrities stumbled. It almost felt expected. There wasn't deep emotional investment, just another headline in a long cycle of drama. With Meghan, the reaction felt different. The criticism wasn't centered on criminal behavior or shocking misconduct. It was built around expectations, perception, and the image people once believed in. Her shift in public favor wasn't shocking because of one major event. It was surprising because of the gap between how she was originally introduced, poised, authentic, humanitarian, and how some audiences began interpreting her presence in 2025. That gap became the real conversation. Then satire stepped in. South Park wasted no time turning parts of the situation into parody. The Harper's Bazaar cover was instantly mimicked. The dramatic lighting became a joke. The pregnancy dance video was turned into a punchline. Fashion appearances and interviews were exaggerated in animated sketches.
But I have zero sympathy for him. The fact that he is putting his father through this in the final years of his life. And Meghan, there are members of the royal family who believe that Harry's behavior hastened the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II.
I believe that too. That's what I say. I say those two.
It be a mystery for the ages. Markle, they've just learned the hardest of lessons, which is, if you start a brawl, do not be surprised if you end up getting punched twice as hard. In fact, South Park has just knocked them out.
Every carefully staged pose and polished moment was repackaged into comedy. And the part that caught attention? Millions of people laughed along. Satire often works best when it reflects the mood of the audience, and by 2025, that mood had clearly shifted. Meanwhile, other celebrities were making headlines through chaotic scandals. Meghan's criticism centered on something quieter but powerful: trust. One word kept showing up in conversations: authenticity. Not perfection, not glamour, authenticity. A lot of commentary repeated the same concern. Some viewers felt appearances looked overly polished. One moment seemed very emotional, the next seemed scripted. When placed beside older interviews, certain moments felt inconsistent. To critics, it all started looking carefully calculated, almost too aware of the camera. And once that perception settles in, it's incredibly difficult to shake. Audiences can forgive mistakes. They can forgive awkward moments and even big career missteps. But when people begin to feel like they're watching a performance instead of a real person, patience disappears quickly.
Look, South Park is known for satire and for mocking people. No one is safe. This isn't the first time they've done an episode on the royal family, but this particular episode was quite scathing in the grains of truth that it held. And I'm not sure how the Sussexes are taking it. Obviously, it is a cast.
Sell anything about their privacy, and yet they'll fight privacy battle after privacy.
What do Americans really think of Harry and Meghan?
Did she call them disaster opportunists, which is exactly right.
These two never stop going on global media to trash the royal family and the monarchy, and each time they do it, they chip away at the mystique and the magic and the popularity, and that's why I despise them for what they're doing.
Growing calls to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. The New York Post is reporting that locals in the UK say enough is enough, especially after Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview, which aired hours after he lost his appeal for taxpayer.
Instead of feeling like viewers were simply watching someone live their life, many said it looked more like a carefully built character, a brand, a story that seemed to adjust depending on the moment. Whether that interpretation was fair or exaggerated, the emotional reaction was very real. That's why she didn't top those rankings, because her controversies were the most explosive. She reached the top because the image people once connected with seemed to crack under pressure. And when those cracks appear, satire quickly shines a spotlight. In a year filled with chaos, authenticity became the thing audiences valued most. And when viewers start feeling like something looks staged, forgiveness becomes harder to find. That's how she didn't just reach the #1 spot in public frustration, she stayed there. Not because of a massive scandal or criminal headline, but because of something quieter and more damaging, a slow fading of belief. Here's the key point. Meghan didn't become one of the most disliked figures of 2025 because of a single explosive event. It wasn't one viral clip. It wasn't one project that struggled. It wasn't even one uncomfortable interview. It was accumulation. What stood out most wasn't public anger, it was fatigue. People didn't sound furious, they sounded tired, tired of the cycle, tired of the messaging, tired of what felt like constant reinvention without openly acknowledging that reinvention. For years, Meghan presented a strong narrative, the outsider stepping into a strict royal environment, a woman who said she felt unheard, a voice pushing back against an institution she described as rigid and overwhelming. In the beginning, many people genuinely sympathized. They supported her and hoped she would succeed. But over time, some viewers began noticing a gap between the story being told and the moments unfolding publicly. People started pointing out contradictions, carefully arranged scenes presented as spontaneous, emotional interviews repeating familiar themes but rarely addressing criticism directly. Speeches about privacy delivered while cameras documented many milestones, inspirational messages that sometimes felt closer to branding than vulnerability.
Won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm gonna put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends.
Titles are gone. You're going to be Meghan Mountbatten Windsor. Your husband's going to be Harry Mountbatten Windsor. And all your threats of legal action, I think, is something that William will quite rightly stare down. But let me take...
Now, she's stuck because she was an actress who became a real princess, who wants to be an actress again, but has to continue to pretend to be a real princess. The job of a royal is, in many ways, to be boring. The job of an actress is to get eyeballs. You can't do both at once, and she's trying to split the baby. She's a classic example of the modern woman, which is she wants to have it all.
Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her when things inevitably start.
Underneath all of that, critics argued there seemed to be one steady goal: maintaining status, influence, and control of the narrative. Once that perception settled in, something slowly changed. Not anger, not outrage, just erosion. The mystique began to fade, and when that happens, trust often fades with it. The conversation gradually shifted from "why is she misunderstood" to "why does this feel inconsistent?" That's a very different tone. One debate that kept coming up involved royal titles. Over the years, Meghan openly criticized aspects of the monarchy's structure and culture. At the same time, she continued to be formally introduced as the Duchess of Sussex in high-profile features like the Harper's Bazaar cover. For some observers, that contrast created confusion. I saw a lot of people asking the same question: if independence was the goal, why keep the royal title? And when Prince Harry spoke critically about parts of the royal system while still carrying that same designation, critics raised similar points. To some observers, it looked like stepping away from the responsibilities while still holding on to the prestige. Whether that view was fair or not, it became a steady talking point throughout 2025. Most commentators didn't frame it as cruelty, they framed it as confusion. Viewers were trying to reconcile two messages that didn't quite line up in their minds. And once people start feeling like someone is balancing both sides of a situation, every small detail suddenly gets amplified. Old yacht rumors resurfaced, interview clips were replayed and analyzed again. Timeline debates popped up everywhere. Even simple smiles at public appearances were sometimes viewed through a skeptical lens. That's the complicated part about public trust. When it's strong, small mistakes are easy to overlook. But once that trust weakens, even minor moments get examined like evidence in a case study. The shift in 2025 wasn't really about proving wrongdoing. It was more about perception. Some critics began describing certain moves as strategic rather than spontaneous. They didn't necessarily say mistakes happened by accident. They suggested the missteps felt planned. And in that gap between intention and interpretation, public respect started taking hits. That's ultimately how she climbed to the top of those most disliked rankings. Not because her controversies were the most extreme, not because she faced criminal allegations, but because a large part of the audience felt emotionally disconnected from the image they were seeing. The debate around royal titles became symbolic of that disconnect. For some viewers, the royal imagery no longer matched the messaging. Instead of harmony, they saw tension. But here's what makes the story even more interesting: it might not be the final chapter. Public opinion moves in waves. Narratives shift. Comebacks happen when people least expect them. Despite all the criticism, Meghan hasn't vanished from the spotlight. She's still visible, still active, and still trying to shape what comes next. If 2025 proved anything, it's that she continues to command attention, whether that attention is positive or negative. The real question now isn't whether her public image took a hit. The question is whether she can rebuild trust in a space where audiences no longer offer automatic support. And one thing is clear: she's still out there, still launching projects, still giving interviews, still stepping into high-profile Hollywood rooms like nothing slowed her down. If there's one pattern Meghan Markle has shown over the years, it's persistence. Headlines may pile up. Online backlash may trend for weeks. Commentary may grow sharper. Yet she doesn't disappear. Instead, she recalibrates, adjusts her approach, and comes back with a new tone, a fresh angle, and the promise that the next chapter will land differently. Maybe it will turn around. Maybe 2025 was just a rough stretch before a major reset. Or maybe it marked the beginning of a bigger shift. One where Hollywood, the audience, and even Meghan herself have to face the fact that expectations have changed. When the story people once believed in stops matching what they're seeing play out in real time, something eventually has to give. But one thing is impossible to deny: she's still one of the most talked about figures on the planet. People are still clicking, still debating, still reacting. That kind of attention is power in its own way. She didn't dominate conversations because she disappeared. She stayed right in the spotlight no matter how the public mood shifted. And that's why this story isn't just about controversy. It's about reinvention, perception, and what happens when the audience starts questioning the narrative while the main character keeps stepping forward anyway. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Meghan can rebuild trust and flip the script? Or do you think 2025 was the turning point that changed everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you enjoy deep dives into celebrity drama, royal tension, and Hollywood shakeups, make sure you hit like, share this video, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And check out the video popping up on your screen right now for even more celebrity drama and behind-the-scenes breakdowns. I'll see you in the next one.